remember the first time I saw the Spartan army march into the plains, their red cloaks gleaming under the sun, their shields locked together like a wall of bronze. Even the ground seemed to tremble beneath their step. It was the sound of discipline, of men bred from birth to fight and die for their city. And I thought to myself, this is what war looks like when pride becomes destiny. I was young then, an Athenian messenger, raised in the shadow of marble temples and theaters that sang of democracy, art, and philosophy. We believed we were the heart of Greece, the light of civilization itself. Sparta, we thought, was nothing but muscle without mind. But in the years that followed, I learned how arrogance can destroy even the greatest of cities. Because when Athens and Sparta went to war, it wasn't just an army against an army. It was two worlds colliding, the two faces of Greece. Before the war, Greece wasn't one nation, but a patchwork of city-states, each proud, independent, and stubborn. Athens was the crown jewel of the sea, ruled by democracy and culture. Our ships carried trade and ideas across the Aegean. We were thinkers, artists, dreamers. Sparta, on the other hand, was a fortress of stone and flesh. Their entire society revolved around war. From the moment a child was born, he was inspected. Weak infants were left to die, and the strong were raised to serve the state. To them, fear was a disease cured only by battle. We shared the same gods, the same language, the same myths, yet we were opposites in every way. And when two such powers rise under one sky, peace never lasts. The seeds of rivalry. It began after the Persian Wars, when Greece stood together against a foreign enemy. I was barely a boy, but I still remember the cheers that echoed through Athens when our fleet triumphed at Salamis. Sparta had led on land, we on the sea, and together we had driven the Persians back. But victory has a way of planting pride. Athens grew rich and powerful, forming the Delian League, an alliance to protect Greece. Gold flowed into our harbors, and soon we were building monuments, the Parthenon, the statue of Athena, and theaters where poets sang of freedom and glory. To the Spartans, though, it looked like an empire. They saw our democracy as chaos, our luxury as weakness, and our growing navy as a threat. To us, Sparta was a dark reminder of tyranny, a society where freedom was strangled in the name of order. Tension thickened like storm clouds over the Aegean. And finally, in 431 BC, the lightning struck, the outbreak of the Peloponnesian War. I remember the day the war was declared. The agora was packed with shouting citizens. Pericles, our leader, stood before the crowd, calm, confident. "Sparta may have strength," he said, "but we have the sea. Let them come, we will endure," and they did come. The Spartans marched into Attica, burning our crops and villages. From the walls of Athens, I watched black smoke curl into the sky as our fields turned to ash. But we didn't meet them head-on. Instead, we hid behind our wall, waiting, relying on our navy to keep us supplied. For time, it worked. The Spartans ruled the land, but we ruled the waves. Our ships raided their coastlines, cutting off supplies. It was a deadly stalemate, until death itself walked through our gates, the plague of Athens. No sword, no spear, just fever. It began with a cough, then came the rash, then the madness. Within days, the plague swept through the city like wildfire. The streets were lined with bodies, temples overflowed with the dying. Even Pericles fell. I carried messages from the port to the Acropolis, and each time I passed through the alleys, the stench made me gag. People whispered that the gods had abandoned us, that democracy had angered them. In those dark months, our pride began to crumble, but Athens didn't fall. We buried our dead, repaired our ships, and set sail again. Because that's who we were, dreamers who refused to die. The war at sea. Years passed. Battles raged across islands and coastlines. I sailed with the fleet once, under Cleon, a a man as loud as thunder. Our oarsmen rode through smoke and screams as Athenian triremes rammed Spartan ships off the coast of Pylos. For the first time, Sparta's legendary warriors surrendered, something unthinkable. We celebrated for days. The city danced, poets wrote odes, and for a moment, it felt like the gods were with us again. But victory breeds greed. Instead of peace, we wanted more, and that hunger would destroy us. The Sicilian disaster. By the time we launched the Sicilian expedition, I had seen enough war to know hubris when it crept in. Still, when our General Alcibiades stood before the assembly, promising gold and glory across the sea, the people roared with approval. Thousands of soldiers, hundreds of ships, we sent our best to conquer distant Syracuse. I watched their sails vanish into the horizon, white against the endless blue. None of us knew it then, but we were watching the heart of Athens sail to its grave. Months turned to years. Rumors drifted back, defeat after defeat, until at last the truth arrived. The entire expedition had been destroyed. Our generals killed, our soldiers captured, our fleet annihilated. When the news spread, the city went silent. We had reached too far, and the gods had finally answered our arrogance. The fall of Athens. Sparta, sensing weakness, struck again. This time, they had help. Persian gold funded their navy, giving them power at sea. Bit by bit, they strangled us. I was there when our last ships were burned, when grain stopped arriving and famine crept through the streets. We ate whatever we could find. Children cried from hunger while the proud marble statues of our heroes watched in silence. In 404 BC, the unthinkable happened. Athens surrendered. I stood among the crowd at the harbor when the Spartans marched in. Their general, Lysander, ordered the destruction of our city walls. The sound of hammers echoing against stone felt like the heartbeat of Greece itself dying. The war had lasted nearly 30 years. Thousands were dead. The dream of a united Greece was gone. The aftermath, what was lost and what remained. Sparta had won, but even they couldn't escape the cost. Their population was broken, their economy drained. The war had left all of Greece bleeding, too weak to stand against the powers that would rise in the centuries to come. Sometimes I walk through the ruins of the long walls where weeds now grow between the cracks. The air still smells faintly of the sea. I think of the friends I lost, the philosophers silenced, the dreams turned to dust. But then I remember something Pericles once said before the plague took him. What we leave behind is not monuments of marble, but the spirit of free men. And he was right. Sparta's spears may have won the war, but Athens' ideas, democracy, art, reason, outlived them all. Even today, when people speak of Greece, they speak not of Sparta's iron discipline, but of Athens' enduring flame, the eternal lesson. The war between Athens and Sparta wasn't just a battle for land. It was a struggle between freedom and order, creativity and control, mind and muscle. And in that clash, Greece discovered a truth that echoes through history. Power can conquer cities, but ideas conquer time. Because while Sparta faded into memory, the light of Athens, the light of thought, debate, and expression, became the foundation of Western civilization. And sometimes, when I stand beneath the ruins of the Parthenon at dusk, I can still hear the whispers of both sides, the disciplined march of Spartan soldiers and the laughter of Athenian poets, forever locked in the war that shaped Greece. Like, subscribe, and comment below if you want more immersive stories that bring history to life, where empires rise, legends are born, and the echoes of the past still speak to the present.